Mm. Okay. So uh, India geographical setting. So Himalayan mountains are in the north, Ghats mountains in east and west. So India is a subcontinent plateau. So monsoon seasonal rains with rain hit India. So India have many rivers, but there are two main rivers: the Ganges River and Indus River. And here you can see. So at first, it start with the Indus Valley civilization, the first settlement uh, in 3000 BCE. So when the farmers sailed out along the Indus Valley rivers, is right here, and they developed what we call the two large city of India civilization, the Harappa and Mohenjo. You can see this is two main city here along the Indus river that drain what we call the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, here's the Harappas and Mohenjo. By the time of 2500 BC, the entire regions was dominated by these two cities. And here, what the demand of these two uh, uh, civilized city, and here is the civilization affect to the nearby area. So they trade with the Aryan and neighboring regions in India to the east, and they trade with the Persian Gulf and Sumer to the west. So this here. And for the political structure, they have the villages, cities, which were never politically united, but they share common language and culture. And so this is very similar to Mesopotamia and China. So the region was united only by trade, and they have the writing system of this seal. So these are the sample, and the trading seal. Writing developed from early trading seal, which had the merchant's name and the symbol of trade items, like this here. You can see those sample, and here they have the peaceful items like toy jewelry. So the toy cow with moldable head, and jewelry made of gold, outlets, jasper, and garnet. And they do what we call the wheel technology between 2300 to 2200 BCE, and this is standard weight and measurements based on the ratio of 1/16. So this is weight and measurement. And the first civilization to cultivate the cotton and make cotton clothing here in this area. So they create the first matrilineal society. That means female-led society. And the city has what they call the sewer system, because they have the bath That was the essential part of their religion. So when they came to the religious center, they need to take a bath. So that's why they create this type of bathing place for them. And here they have what we call the red bath tanks that was used for purification of the body and soul. So where they came down to take a bath. And religious beliefs were centered on the idea of afterlife. So the bodies were built with the personal items. You can see the skeleton and other artifacts. And humpback boar symbolize the leader, that strong and strength that protect the people. And the priests, they have this symbol that meditate in yogic style to become connected with their own God here. And so around 1500 BC, the Indus culture were conquered by the Aryan, and the one that came from the Far East, to conquer that area. And they were nomadic people who migrated into the Indus valleys from Central Asia. So they introduced iron and the horse carried to India, like here. And here the new Aryan ideas, they established what we call new government system, but they have no complex structure. They only group in clans that were ruled by warrior chiefs. They call Raja. So here is along India. So the Aryan tribes settled in different regions of northwestern India. So the tribes were called Gana, that means collection of people. So the chief of each tribes took the job as the hereditary job. So they have the final say on decision, but they need to listen to communities of people. And so they develop what we call the Sanskrit or Hindi, that's the new language, as well as the literatures. So they brought with them what we call Vedas and the book of knowledge. So they are the connection of poems and sacred hymns composed around 1500 BC that describes the belief and daily life of the Aryan people. So again, between 1500 to 1000 BC, that was called the Vedic period. And these were two Aryan epics, and what we call Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So these two epics were composed around 1000 BC. So they are the stories about Aryan life and the world during that period of time. So that's why from 1000 to 500 BC is called the epic period. So the Ramayana tells the story that a good king, Rama, killed the evil king of the Aryan, Ravana. So they have a new education system. So basically a guru teach the children. So every student, including the chieftain, have to follow the guru or the teachers. So our education system based on verbal or oral teaching. So they are really religious, and they have the new marriage traditions. So after a female got married, she got a red dot in the forehead. So let's go back to the Aryan traditions of having a groom apply a spot of his blood onto his bride forehead. So that is the sign of marriage. So when the Aryan moved to India, they want to control the local people. That's why they draw the social hierarchies, what we call the caste system. So in the caste system, they let me skip here. The caste system, they draw what we call the first class. That's the Brahmin. That means the priest class, the highest class. And second one is the royal class, the one that control politics or run the country. And the third is the merchant class of business people, working people. And the last one is the slave class that serve the order of three classes, and later on they have what they call untouchable class too. We will study later on. So basically, when we talk about Hinduism, so the origin of this tradition are unknown, going back to the early Bronze Neolithic period. So basically, Hinduism was not inspired by a single individual event. So it's a combination of all many religions, beliefs, traditions, God, and ancient India. So even there's many types of gods, but in Hinduism they still consider Brahman is the supreme God, and of course it's considered as the polytheistic belief, but still they consider the most supreme God as Brahman. And basically they have three main deities: the Brahma, the creator; Vishnu, the preserver; and Shiva, the destroyer. And Krishna was the ancient god of the Aryans, so he is believed to be an early prince who obtained nirvana. So the fundamental belief of Hinduism is that there is no set of dogma. So actually Hinduism is a set of beliefs with many different principles, theories, and basically they don't have any founders. So go back, the Upanishad, this the literature is composed between 800 to 500 BC. This was written by in Sanskrit. It provides several concepts fundamental to Hinduism. So in Hindu term, there's some term like Dharma, that means set up religious or ethical duties or responsibilities of Hindu people, and karma, the effect of activities of it Atman. So Atman is the soul of each individual, and samsara, that's been the incarnation, the soul paths through a series of body from one lifetime to other. It's called samsara, and they still have the idea of nirvana. Has been the release from worldly life, and also the unification with their universal spirit, that means the Brahman. So according to Hinduism, a life cycle of especially a male one, when they were young, they will be educated by Hindu guru. So when they get in older, they will establish their families. They lead their families in the ways of Hinduism, and later on they will settle down their family matters when they get in older, so that they can have times to reflect on the Hindu teaching, as well as to find ways how to break the cycle of bad karma. So that's why they may let go of their families to go to the forest or mountain to do meditation, so that they could have connection with the universal spirit, that means their Brahman, so that they can attain what we call nirvana, or breaking the cycle of life and become one with universal spirit. That's their goal. So by the 7th century, personal prayer displayed the sacrifice of animals. So again, it may have some influence from Buddhism, that they established the temples and the shrines with house statue and pictures of God. So sometimes they still use the cape. So later on, Hinduism spread to the other South Asia countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, but up to now they still have some popularities too. So how Hinduism spread to Southeast Asia? So they use military force or culture transmitted through trade, and the Brahmin priests could be invited by local Southeast Asia ruler. And when we talk about the caste system, so they were a collection of 1028 verses of poetry that called Rig Vedas, that talk about the original caste system. It also provide the reason for this caste system. And here again, like I mentioned recently, that they based on this social division of the caste system to divide people. So the first one is the Brahmin, that means the priests or the leaders, and the second one is the Kshatriya, that means warrior or royal class, and the third is the Vaishya, the merchant, business people, and the fourth is Shudra, has been the farmers or the slave, and the last one is untouchable or non-iron people. So each iron types in each the tribes people belong to one of the first four groups. So they work depend upon the social status, and they were classified in those caste system, and they cannot change their social status. So it's impossible for them to change. So again, this Vedas provide the religious justification to social system to separate people by the occupation and ethnicity. So it's more than 2,000 years. This caste system became extreme rigid, unequal, and hierarchies. So there's no intermarriage among those caste system, and the education was limited to the upper class only. So they put the reason why they have this caste system, because they want to control the mass, especially the upper class of the Brahmin, the priests. They want to control politics. They want to control the economic system. So it was imposed by a coalition of priests and warrior kings to maintain the control over the public, the people. So it was created as an alternative to open slavery. So there's a basic information about ancient India as well as Hinduism. So next one, let's move on to the life of the Buddha. As during this week we talk about. The Buddha was born into what we call the Shakya clans of Hindu region in India. So you see here the Kapilavastu here, and this is in the northern part of India, and this part, Lumbini, where the Buddha was born, now belong to Nepal. The Shakya clans, they form as an independent republican state. So they have their capitals in Kapilavastu. This system of administration is adopted by Constitution of India later on too. So here is the place where the Buddha was born. The Buddha was born in this Shakyan clans, and his prince name is Siddhartha. So of course he was founder of Buddhism. Later on he was known as Gautama Buddha. So he was son of Suddhodana, who was elected as the leader of Shakyan Republic. So according to most traditions, Buddha was born into that royal Hindu family, and he was the son of Queen Maya, who was Korean princess. So it said that before he was born, his mother, Queen Maya, had a dreams that a white elephant enter her right side of the body, and later on she wake up and told the king. So the king invite some Brahmins to give the petition for his future son. And so there were 8 of them that were invited into the courts to give the petition. So all of them would say that the future prince would become what they call the wheel turner, that means the red king. But only one mentioned that later on he would let go of his luxury life of the prince to seek for the truth, and eventually to attain Buddhahood, to become Buddha. And so here's the Nepal. Here the Lumbini. Lumbini is where the Prince Siddhartha was born. Here, and it say that when Queen Maya got pregnant, and when it's time for her to give birth, so she asked her husband permission to go back to visit her parents. That is the traditions. But on the way to Lumbini, she stopped by at this place and gave birth to Prince Siddhartha. That is why they established here the stupa here. And this the place where he was born. And later on, King Ashoka erected this pillar to indicate where the Buddha was born. Now it's still exist in India, and here they indicate or found the exact birthplace of Gautama Buddha right here in Nepal, or Lumbini. So it says that when he grew up, he developed as a compassionate and wise child. And so according to the legend, it said that when he was about only 10 years old, so one day when he went together with his fathers as a king to attend the plow ceremony with the farmers, somehow he took up and sat under a trees to enter the first stage of meditative state of mind. So later on, his father walked around and they could not find him. So eventually they approached to that trees and found that he sat under that tree to do meditation. So he, at that time, he contemplated while he was sitting there. He contemplated the cycle of life. That when the farmers plow the earth, and the birds catch the worms, that means the big beings kill the little one, and that's how life is about. And one of the story to illustrate how compassionate he was, he rescued a swan that was shot down by his cousin Devadatta. And when he getting older, you see the scene here. His father erected 3 palaces for him: the winter, the fall, and the summer for him to enjoy his life, with the purpose of keeping him back to the secular life. So here, so the king, his father Suddhodana, provide him all kind of entertainments to keep him in the palace, so that eventually he could become the next king. That's what his father hoped. But somehow later on, at the age of 19, he got married, and he requests his father's permission to go out to visit the city. So when he went out to visit the city, he saw the 4 sides. The first one is the sick person, the second the old man, the last one is the dead person. But the last time he saw was the Hindu monk. So here we need to understand that, like explained recently, that in Hindu traditions, for the male, for a man, when he was young, he stayed with his parents. When he getting older, he established his own families, business, and so forth. But when he approaching to his old age, he need to let go of material life to become a mendicant, to seek for the truth, to break the cycle of life and death. So that's why when the Prince Siddhartha went out with his servant, he saw this mendicant, a Hindu monk. So that's where he stopped to get out the birth cycle. And that's a common themes of all the Asian, most Asian religions, principle that one should cultivate the spiritual path to cut off the birth cycle. Of course, every tradition has different path to follow, and here this is the image that depicts how he recognized the life circle. And so with that kind of scene, he made the decision to leave everything behind. Even he just got a son, Rahula. So he made decision to leave them behind and go for the spiritual path. So he escaped. He get out of his palace at night with his servant. So both of them rode to the forest, and after that he cut off his hair and gave back to his servant, so that his servant could bring back everything to his fathers and families in the palace. And so later on he decided to practice self-mortification, that means self-torture, for 6 years. And for this image that illustrates that he fasts for many days without eating much, but he has 5 companions from his country to follow him, and somehow later on he recognized that he need to go to the middle path. That means he's not supposed to indulge in entertainments, luxury life, or enjoyment of the sense. That's one pole. Another pole is not to torture his body to the extreme way. So that's here you see that even this kind of practice, self-torture, still exists in India nowadays. So later on he made decision that he will let go or walk away from this kind of practice to go to the middle path. So when he got the offerings from a young lady, the rice soup, he ran his strength to sit under the Bodhi trees, such as here, and he made the vows to sit there until his enlightenment. And of course, he has all kind of demonic challenges that they came to test his will or destroy his determination, but he still coped with his determination to practice. So according to legend, it says that Mara is the god of death, sent all kinds of armies to disturb Buddha, but eventually he won all of the challenges internally and externally to become Buddha, enlightened Buddha. So here is the place you see that where he sat under the Bodhi trees to attain enlightenment. And later on, this what we call Maha Bodhi Stupa was erected or built by King Ashoka to indicate where the Buddha attained enlightenment. And here, that's the red stupa, and here's the Bodhi tree you can see that here's the Bodhi trees, that where the Buddha sat under to attain enlightenment. But actually, this is not original trees. That's the third generation trees. Okay, so this is here. Is the Bodhigaya where he attained enlightenment. This is where nowadays millions of Buddhist people from everywhere come to visit this place as the most sacred or holiest place of Buddhism. You see here, there's the Bodhi tree, they protect it, and this is the place where the Buddha sat, attained enlightenment. And he sat there, or he stayed around there for another 49 days after his enlightenment. And one of the week, one serpent kings cover his hook for the Buddha when it was raining right behind that Bodhi tree. And so later on, he made decision to go and teach his 5 companions. So let me share with you here. Okay, I will show you the map so that you can get the idea. Okay, let's see here. Can get the idea where the Buddha gave the teaching, where he actually, let me go back here quick. Okay. Yeah, so let me go back here. Okay. Let's see. Some map will show the route that the Buddha walked around to give the teaching. Probably this one is much easy, and I think I showed you before too. Yeah, you can see this. So the Buddha was born in Lumbini of the second class. The capital is Kapilavastu. After he left his palace, he went to the forest and around this area to practice posture, the self-torture. And later on he went to Bodhigaya right here to sit under that Bodhi tree to attain Buddhahood. And after he attained Buddhahood to become Buddha, so he went here. He went to Varanasi or Sarnath to give the first teaching to the 5 companions. And he taught Four Noble Truths and 8 Fold Paths for them. This is where Sarnath or Deer Park, and that is the first Sangha or monastic communities that he ever developed or created. And so from that time on, many people follow him. And this image that talk about one of his previous life. He lie down on the mud. He spread his hair on the mud so that the former Buddhas, the Buddha in the past, work on his hair, and that Buddha gave him prediction that he would become Buddha in the future. That's what he's about. He attained enlightenment to become Buddha, as we call Shakyamuni Buddha. And and from that time on, so many people follow him. The local people, the men, the male. That's where he started the first Sangha of Buddhist communities with his 5 monks, and later on he accepted many men into the Sangha, into the Buddhist monastic communities. It's high here, and his monastic communities grown day by day. And here even there's some miracles. They say that he went to one of the heaven to teach the heavenly beings or gods, and this is the image the Buddha preached to the kings and monks in Ajanta cave, and he converted many local kings who serve as his supporters. And we go back here. Here, there's many kingdom in Magadha, in Vaji, Mala, Kosala, and so forth. Most of the king around this area became his followers, supporters. And basically he has 10 main disciples: Shariputra, top master of wisdom; Maurana, the student who is foremost in sacred power; Mahakashipa, he is the foremost student in ascetic training; Subhuti, he understood the emptiness principle; Puna, Maitreya Buddha was the red teacher of the law; Katyayana, he understood the Buddha lecture the best; Aniruddha, he was the foremost student in sacred eyes; Upali is the foremost student in keeping the precept or discipline; Rahula was only son that Buddha has before he became Buddha, and he followed strict rules. And Ananda, the one that could remember all of his teaching, all of the Buddha teaching. So that are the 10 main students that the Buddha have. And here, when he came back to visit his kingdom, second kingdom, he performs what we call the miracles. On the bottom, he emits the water; on the top, he emits the light or the fire to subdue his clans, second clans, arrogant. And here is talk about the God created the path for the Buddha to walk to the heaven in one of the training retreat. He went to one heaven, the heaven of 32, to teach his mothers. The one passed away 7 days after he was born. And when two country try to fight each other to get the water, so the Buddha perform these miracles so that they can pay attention and respect the Buddha teaching not to fight or to kill based on the compassion. And this is the scene that the Buddha tamed the drunk elephants that was released by Devadatta, and that's the Buddha person. So he tamed this drunk elephants with his compassionate mind. And here, one more time, he walked down from the heaven after 3 months legend the gods up there. So there's and this is a story that relates to how he subdued criminals that killed 999 people, and he tried to kill the Buddha as 1001, but due to the wisdom and virtue, so he could subdue and convert these criminals, and later on he became a Buddhist monk too. So this is the image, and this image that talk about how the Buddha took care of the sick monks. He emphasized how he remind his student that they need to take care of the sick people, companions. So here's the this pilgrimage site of the Buddhist historical site. Again, Lumini, that's where he was born. Bodh Gaya, that's where he attained enlightenment. Penes, or the Deer Park, where he first gave the teaching, and the last place, the Kushinagar, where he passed away. And this is the same thing too. Okay, so this is the Indian map in general, and it's some story that relate to his former student Moeyana, the one who has psychic power. This story relate to how he used his psychic power to help his diseased mothers who was hungry ghosts, but he could not help her out at all. You see, the hungry ghost has big belly and small throat. Whenever they consume the food, they would be painful, because the food would become the fire to burn their mouth, and that's why later on he went back to seek for the Buddha blessing, to bless his mothers, and eventually she was born in the heaven. And this is what about. This is many image and many story about the Buddhas. And at the age of 80, he passed away at the in the forest, what they call the Twin Sala forest, peacefully. And 3 months after he passed away, Mahakashyapa convened 500 arhats as the first Buddhist council to recite the Buddha teaching again orally. So again, Ananda memorized all of the Buddha teaching, and he was the one that decided the Buddha teaching again during that first Buddhist council. And Upali, this was one here. This depicts how Venerable Ananda sat amongst those 500 arhats to recite the Buddha teaching, and Venerable Upali decide the books of discipline for the monk to follow. And later on, they have divisions in Buddhism. It's just 18 sets, and we learn that later on. Okay, so that's the thing I want to share with you today. Let me stop here and That's just the general information about the last Buddha as well as the first